Hey everyone, hopefully you can hear me. Sorry, I'm just doing a couple of last things. All right. Oh, wrong camera. There we go. Webcam. All right, let's get, let's let everyone in. And I'm live on a couple of different platforms. If someone can let me know if you can hear and see me, please. That would be awesome. Uh, in the chat. Oh, hey Dave. Hey Carrie. Okay. So obviously, yes, good. You can hear and see me though, Carrie, and everyone else? Just want to make sure we're good. Because otherwise I'm just a talking head going like this and you can't hear. All good. Okay, thanks, Carrie. Now I just want to get this here as well. All right. So, all right, today we're going to talk about investing in the US. It's a boot camp. And we're going to talk about all about that. Buying in the US, whether you are a Canadian, whether you're an American, we have people that are doing this from Mexico, from India, it doesn't matter, right? If your main reason or concern or your goal is to invest in the US, we can help you. And that's literally what today is going to be about. Now, I do want to talk about a couple of different things. I want to talk about a couple of different things, the major, the major differences between the US and Canada, and the major reasons why people are flocking to the US, instead of staying in their country or where they're at to invest. Okay. So the first couple of things is one of the major reasons people are going to the US is the price per door, right? Or the purchase price. And so, for example, I'll just use a deal that Mel and I did in Ohio a few weeks ago. If you've been following us on social media, you're like, Dave, I already know that. We purchased a property in Ohio for $72,000. Okay. $72,000 for a triplex. So I think the quick math on that is like $24,000 a door, which is very, very low barrier of entry, right? I think we can all agree on that, especially if you're in other places if you're in Western Canada, right? Or if you're in different states in the US and in some super hot markets, you're like, it's like $1 million a door where I'm at, right? So yeah, the price per door is very attractive. As well as there's a lot more deals, right? There is a lot more deals here. Let's make sure I don't set up. There's a lot more deals as well. So there's what 300 and I think 30 million people in the US. So huge deal flow possibility as well. That's why Mel and I are doing it as well. The deal flow possibility is super huge there. And then landlord friendly, okay, investor focused. So not just I shouldn't just say landlord friendly. I should almost say almost more investor focused as well. So there's a lot of states that are more landlord friendly, for example, meaning you have a little bit more teeth. So if someone's not paying you rent, which hey, someone should pay to live somewhere. Hey, Rupa. Um, yeah, in the US, in my opinion, there's more options, right? In Canada, it's typically right, Alberta and New Brunswick, and that's why we're investing more in Alberta. But in the US, we invest in Ohio, Texas, and Florida for those exact reasons. Hey, I lost my mouse. Where are you, mouse? You're asking if this is live, 100% it's live, right? No edits here, but yeah. So those are some of the reasons. The other thing as well is also the tax implications. So when I say investor friendly, yes, obviously landlord tenant board relations, and being able to enforce things such as non-payment of rent is very important, especially as an investor. Hey, you're buying a place, you're paying a mortgage, you're paying utilities, you're paying expenses. And if someone's not paying you, you'd like to have some sort of recourse, like to be able to collect those funds in order to be able to pay your bills and make some funds, right? For all the risks you're taking. So that's why those are three reasons, in my opinion, people are flocking to the US. And now, five major differences as well. And then I'll kind of talk about a little bit. Well, you know what? I might say the five differences for after. So here, let me chat about the team. There we go. That's much better. We're trying to go live on a bunch of different platforms, and as you know, when we launch new things, there's always some differences. There we go. So now we're on different social media, and you're live here on Zoom with me. The team is trying to get us live everywhere, but yeah. So thanks, team. So I'll go through a presentation today. We're going to keep it very informal as well. But basically, Mel and I have been talking about it, and We have a lot of different, we have the Action Family Mentoring Program that has over 2,100 members, which is helps you use creative financing and how to buy in 5 countries, right? Because Mel and I are investing in Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic. So that's a whole other program. This specific US boot camp is going to be, I reverse engineered, and I say Mel and I reverse engineered. We wanted to quarterback something that is simple, something that is 10 weeks, something that is directly dealing with myself, and that at the end of the 10 weeks, you will have your LLC structure in the US, whether you're a US citizen, whether you're a Canadian citizen, whether you're in Mexico or India, it doesn't matter. You will have your business structure set up. You will have picked the markets that you want to invest in. You will have been introduced to the professionals that you will need to complete these transactions so that you're no longer going, I've been wanting to buy in the US, but it just seems so scary, so cumbersome, so out of my comfort zone box normality, right? So that's literally what we want to do. And that is the whole entire focus of that. Okay. So I'm going to quickly share a presentation here. It's not even a presentation. Honestly, I've gotten a couple of slides. Hopefully, most of you know Mel and I from social media or from our email list, or if I'm popping up on the live right now. So some of you that are on social media, I don't have you won't be able to see the slides. Some of you that are on Zoom with me, you will be able to see the slides as well. We can always send this to you after. There's going to be a replay, and there's also going to be a link. There's going to be a link to fill out some information. Okay, whenever Mel and I launch new ideas, new initiatives like this, we're always working very closely with anything, right? Even the Action Family, anything that we do, even our action agents, and this is our action boot camp for US specifically. But there's going to be a link for you to complete and fill in your information, and I'm going to be calling you because if we're going to be working together closely I was gonna say a quiet group. I don't want us to be quiet. In a oh gosh, can't even think of the word. In a smaller group, in a smaller group, I want to have a conversation and make sure that we are on the same page, okay? Because this is going to be 10 weeks together. There's no videos or anything like that. It's going to be learning together and lives together. And I'll get more. Nope. And I'll get more into depth as to what exactly that'll be. But let me share my screen. All right, let me share my screen. There we go. And for those of you that are live, I'll kind of talk about it so you guys get the idea as well. All right, how do I? So basically, it's if you're new to us, when I share it, doesn't let me. There you go. Slide view, slideshow. Perfect. So if you are new to Mel and us, right? So if you're like, hey, this is the first time I see you on a live, this is the first time I decided to join one of your, Dave, your Zoom calls, your live calls, or I've heard about the boot camp. Mel and I, here's a quick elevator pitch. So Mel and I, full-time real estate investors, we've been able to quit our jobs in our 30s, right? I used to be a firefighter. Mel used to work at our local college. We've now purchased over 263 units. We do it in 5 different countries. Again, this is going to be specific on the US. This is a US boot camp to get you set up. We're top real estate mentors, best-selling authors, multiple award winners, keynote speakers. We're verified on social media everywhere. I don't know where you're logging in, but please follow us on multiple social media platforms. We're verified everywhere, and we provide different content. We now have 3 Amazon best-selling books. Sorry, Mel has 3 Amazon best-selling books. I have 2. One of them was Women Only. I was not part of it. We've met some really cool people through real estate. So as you can see, we've spoken at some really cool stages. We've met Grant Cardone from 10X, Kim Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad, Pace Morby, A-Rod from the New York Yankees, Hulk Hogan. We met some people from Dragon's Den and all that stuff too. So anyway, real estate has provided us some really cool opportunities. Now, again, all about taking action. That's why anything that we create has the word action in it, because that is the biggest needle mover. I was going to say noodle mover. Needle mover. Action. Action is everything. Everything that you want is only after you take execution and action. Team, if you can start letting people in for me, so I know there's people in the waiting room and I don't want to miss out on it. But yeah, team, if you can let people in for me. So yeah, these are deals that we do, we continue to do. Mel and I, like I said, we both quit our jobs. We had pensions, unions, salaries, all of that vacation. These were handcuff jobs. Okay. Today, I'm going to touch on mindset as well. There's going to be a whole section on mindset in the boot camp because everyone wants to buy real estate, but no one wants to talk about getting our minds right around it, right? We're going to talk about journaling, vision boards, how Mel and I are able to do what we do. Oh, there we go, letting everyone in. Mel and I are able to do everything we do. Success leaves clues, right? It's you got like even this morning we were in a rush because tomorrow we leave for Edmonton. We're going on a trip. We're gonna go check out one of the places we bought for agreement for sale. Then we're going to the Calgary Stampede. We're bringing the whole family, but we're still making time for mindset. So we'll have a whole section on that as well. Trading time for money. This is something that is absolutely huge. Is anyone doing this? Put in the chat a one. If anyone is doing this, put it a one in the chat or even on live. Put a one on the chat if you are currently trading your time for money. One, one. Yeah. And guys, that's the thing. This is what people do all the time, right? And I used to be guilty of it. And I show you these pictures right now of me being a firefighter and Mel, being in her office. She doesn't look too happy there. Because we used to literally do that, trade our time for money. Mel was also a fitness teacher, instructor, all that stuff. And once we realized that that's not the secret sauce, right? The rich don't do that. We decided and we built a portfolio. We made it our personal mission. And as you guys know, right, if you guys seen us on social media, we do coaching and mentoring. We've now helped thousands of families, help them, create that freedom. That's what we want. Create the time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And again, today is going to be specifically doing so with a US portfolio. And this is what it's all about. And social media, if you're wondering what I'm showing, it's pictures of us on vacations and holidays and it's memories. At the end of the day, that's what matters. When the kids, they still think back. Hey, remember that time we did this? Yeah. I'm so happy that our buildings were able to pay for this in our portfolio. Okay. So in the chat, and you can do it on social media right now, what has been stopping you from building a portfolio? And let's talk specifically in the US, what has been stopping you on building your US portfolio? Because this is a US boot camp. Okay, US boot camp. What has been stopping you from building your portfolio? Let's say if you're in Canada, south of the border, what's stopping you? If you're in the US, what is stopping you about creating a portfolio in your own country? If you're in, I don't know, we've had people from Mexico buy in the US, we've had people from India buy. So, like, wherever you are, what is the reason you are getting a roadblock? Like, what's the issue? Put it in the chat. I'm always curious to see. Sometimes there's a delay. Not able to find professionals. Oh, it's going too fast for me. Not able to find professionals to help me set up my LLC. Jennifer, boom. That's exactly what we're going to be able to help you in this boot camp. And that's the thing. It is going to be 10 weeks intensive. By the end of the 10 weeks, you're literally walking away. Your LLCs are set up. Your business structure is set up. You have the lawyers, the attorneys, the accountants, CPAs that are going to help you with your US portfolio. We've introduced you to the financing that's going to help you acquire these assets. We're going to introduce you to the insurance company that's going to help you as well. So that's the whole thing. We're going to show you how to buy property. So at the end of the 10 weeks, you're like, okay, all that, I don't want to say boring, but all that, not housekeeping, but all that infrastructure stuff that you need to start buying real estate in the US is done, right? You're done. And now it's like all these barriers of entry are done. And now I'm on to the next step. Someone else here had capital, banking, entity structure. Sean, that's exactly what we're here to do. Capital, Deborah, okay. Bank resistance. Sean will introduce you to the appropriate people. Corp structure as a Canadian operating in the US. That's one of the biggest things, honestly. And if done improperly, it can cost you so much money down the road. Okay, cool. So that's what's been stopping people so far, which is totally normal. And honestly, it's a huge fear that Mel and I had too in the beginning when we were starting to build our portfolio in the US. Now Mel and I have been doing this for 25 plus years, and we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on our own coaching and mentoring. So everything that we're going to be teaching you in this boot camp, again, guys, we've paid coaches and mentors, 20, 30 times the amount let me move that over. Now, are you willing to follow a system? Okay. And that's what we'll talk about today, the different systems that we'll be going through. And again, this is a very quick presentation. And then I want to talk about major differences between Canada and the US. And I want to open it up for a QA and talk about for questions or Q&A, not QA, for Q&A. And then we're also going to be discussing next steps and what exactly the 10-week boot camp will entail. Okay. Now, investor focused agents, we will also be introducing you to those as well. So, for example, because that's the whole point, right? At the end of the 10 weeks, it's, hey, lift off. Now you're ready to go to the next step. So, we will introduce you to investor focused agents as well. Off market deals, we will show how we do on market, off market. Okay. Registered funds. So let's pause on this slide for a second. So, and if you guys have questions, save them till the end because we'll do a Q&A. Okay. So don't be shy about that whatsoever. So registered funds, that's a Canadian term. Retirement funds, that's a US term. So let's start off with Canada, then let's go to the US. So registered funds. If you are a Canadian and you have one of those threes, RRSPs, TFSAs, LIRAs, you can use your own to purchase properties in the US. Yes, you heard me correctly. We have a contact that will allow you to do so, and this will be part of it as well. So let's say if you're, I don't know, let's make it up. You're sitting on 100K RRSPs and you're like, Dave, they're invested in, I don't know, mutual fund stocks, whatever. I'm not a stock guy. Nothing against them. I just don't understand them. I'm a real estate guy. And you're like, I'm getting this amount of return, but I'm not necessarily happy with that. And I now want to use that to start purchasing in the US. Well, this is what this boot camp is about. It's going to be how can you use your, in this made up example, $100,000 to purchase that in the US. And you can use your own RRSP, TFSA, LIRA to purchase in the US. What was I going to say? To purchase in the US, it ends up going to kind of be the down payment, but there's a way of doing it. And also, if how do you want to use your 401k and Roth IRA as well? In the US, we can show you how to do that as well. So that's a huge thing because a lot of people will have it, or how to use other people's, right? Even if you're in the US, you can use someone else's. Even if you're in Canada, you can use someone else's. If you're saying, Dave, I don't have 100K in RSP. Okay. You can use someone else in Canada that has 100K in RSPs who can also, so I'll be introducing you to the contact that does that as well. Investor focused lenders, like I mentioned it, mortgage brokers, financial institutions. We'll be introducing you to different US lenders that are, let's say if you're in Canada or if you're anywhere other than the US, because you're considered a foreign national when you're not part of the US or you don't have a US citizen. So we'll introduce you to lenders who are familiar with that type of lending, the same ones that we use, or even if you are in the US, we'll introduce you to the same people we use who help US citizens as well. Okay. Now, I'll stop the share here. So here's what's going to make this different and I want to make sure I had my notes here. I want to go over the different subjects that we will be chatting about. So here, I'll put it right here so I can see it. There we go. So like I mentioned, this is going to be a 10-week intense working directly with me in a small group. Now, what I love about this is a beta program, meaning people have been asking us for years and years and years, guys, can you do something specific on the US? And we finally said, you know what, let's do it. So this is only US purchases. It's getting you set up so that you can then take your next step. Okay. So at the end of the 10 weeks, you'll have your business structure set up. You'll have the contacts that you need to get started. You'll have decided where you want to invest, and then you'll be ready to hit the ground running. Actually, before I do want to do a little bit more teaching before we get into what it's going to entail or what's going to be included in it. There are 5 major differences, in my opinion, when investing in the US. Okay. Are Canada and the US very similar? Are we very, similar and can't think of the word. We're parallel or very, I'm French, so I think in French first. But we're very similar in regards to different things. We do have a tax treaty with the US, but that being said, there are some differences in regards to how the US operates and how as Canadians we can operate there, or other people in other countries can operate there as well as foreign nationals. So the major differences, so someone had said it, the LLC structures. This is one of the biggest things. I'm on YouTube, right? I see different videos. I see different things about what people are doing or how people are suggesting to be set up. The number one thing I want you to take away in regards to this subject, and actually, let me backtrack. My lawyers and attorneys always want me to say, I am not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I am not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. So this is not legal advice, accounting advice, any advice whatsoever. I'm just talking about my experience. So in my experience, A Canadian should not own an LLC. Okay. And I know that's one of your biggest things is how do you do this? We'll be able to show you and introduce you to the people who do this for us so that we can help you on this boot camp. Okay. That's the biggest thing. A Canadian or a Canadian entity should not own an LLC because CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, and IRS, they don't talk the same lingo. They don't CRA doesn't understand LLC. So that's the biggest thing. So we'll be able to show you how to structure it so that you're compliant on the US side of things, right? I'll introduce you to the attorneys that will be able to help you, and that you're also compliant back home, wherever that is. Okay. So this, just so you have an idea. So that's one of the biggest things I see. Loan length I'll just use Canada as an example. So loan length in Canada, you can go and get a 25-year mortgage, right? Amortization, I should say. And you're saying, yeah, Dave, that's nothing new. I know. So you can go get a 25-year mortgage or amortization. However, typically you'll have a term. Well, not typically, you will have a term of 1, 3, 5. I've been offered 10 by CMHC before. The norm is a 5-year term. So you have a 25-year amortization. You're like, yeah, I got a mortgage for 25 years. No, you don't. Your debt is spread over 25 years, but your amortization and your debt is spread over 25 years for payment. That's it for payment calculations. But the term expires in 5 years. So meaning this loan is only good for 5 years, right? In the US, that's where it's different. So you get a 30-year mortgage, right? A 30-year note. And let's say you get it at a rock bottom interest rate like they did a couple of years ago. You're not renegotiating after 5 years. Like that mortgage in place, that debt in place is good for 30 years. You don't have to go after 1 or 3 or 5 a new term. Your debt is 30 years. Your mortgage is 30 years. Your note is 30 years. So that's the biggest thing. In the US, they'll typically do like 15 or 30-year mortgages, and you don't have to go back to renegotiate. Obviously, if you refinance and that type of thing, it's going to be different. Foreign nationals. Now, I'm in that boat. I am a foreign national in 4 countries that I invest in. But today, excuse me, we're only going to be talking about the US. So, foreign nationals buying in the United States, in the US, it's going to be different for financing. Again, I'll still be able to help you. That's part of the boot camp is to get you set up with financing, get you in contact with the people that that can help you, right? That have helped us. But there are differences. So as foreign nationals, right? Let's say back in your home country, you're able to get 75, 80% loan to value. Like in Canada, I can go, well, the building I'm in right now, they gave us 75 because it's a commercial building. But your typical duplex, triplex, fourplex, single family home, if you go to a typical bank, depending on the terms and what you look like financially, they'll probably give you up to 80% loan to value of that appraisal, right? As a foreign national in the US, typically, again, I know there's some programs that can do 70, 75, 80, but typically, let's just talk the norm. Typically, from my experience, it's going to be a 65% loan to value. So, meaning if you buy $100,000, I'm making up an example here. If you buy $100,000 asset, they'll only give you 65% of the appraisal value or purchase price, whichever is lowest. So as a foreign national, you do have to come up possibly with more funds up front. So that's something that people need to know because sometimes they'll go start looking. They're like, hey, I'm only going to have to come up with 20% because that's just the way it works everywhere. No. Okay. And I'm not saying we can't help you get higher than that with some of the people that we're going to introduce you to. However, typically foreign nationals, like the property I just did in Orlando, we got 65% loan to value. Okay. The other thing, as well as a foreign national, is the interest rate might be a little higher. So again, making up scenarios. Let's say if you go on one of the websites for one of the U.S. banks and they're offering 5%, 6%, whatever it is. Again, I'm just making up an example here. Maybe add another point or two on that. Maybe add another percentage or two. So as a foreign national, a rule of thumb is you're probably most likely going to get a lower loan to value, okay, and a higher interest rate. So that's something that your buying power when you're looking at things in the US. But again, I will be able to introduce you to people and to institutions that we use as well. Closing. This is another big thing. So in Canada, typically you go to the lawyer's office, you send them the agreement for purchase and sale, and they take care of everything. They take care of the closing, they get the money from the bank, they pay out the other mortgages, they take care of title, they do searches, XYZ. In the US, it'll depend on the state. Meaning, for example, you can have states that are that the attorneys close the deal, or that gosh, what's the exact wording? Um, I forget the exact word, but let's just keep it simple here, that attorneys or lawyers and attorneys will close the actual transaction. And sometimes some states you'll have title companies. So for example, Ohio, our latest transaction, it was a title company. We necessarily did not need an attorney to close the transaction. The only reason that I had it is because in my conditions, I always have our attorneys check over the deal to make sure that everything's good, that the LLC that I'm buying it is good, that they're not seeing any red flags with the structure of it. But technically, some states you don't even really need an attorney. Okay, so it's different state by state if it's going to be closing by a lawyer, closing by a title company, and these are things that will help you navigate. Um, and the last thing, the five biggest differences that I see, to be honest, when purchasing in the U.S., finding deals and information. And we'll have some specific deal sourcing for you with some discounts. But the biggest difference I find in the US in regards to information is which way do I want to start here? Canadian side or US side? Let's start with the Canadian side, just because I'm Canadian. So in Canada, it is harder to get information. The privacy, and I'm not going to say Privacy Act, but the privacy like acts or legislations or regulations are a lot more strict, and it's a lot harder to get information on different things. Okay, so for example, if I want to know how much is left on a mortgage, right? Typically, mortgage brokers are able to pull that up. I think lawyers are able to as well. If I want to know when's the last time 123 Main Street sold, or who it's sold to, or what was it sell for, all that stuff, who owns it, I typically have to ask for from a real estate agent. Hey, an investor focused agent, hopefully, hey, do you have the comps, the comparables for me? So all that information is safely guarded by people that have licenses and certifications and designations. Again, I'm probably forgetting a couple of words here. In the US, and we have access to one of the programs as well. In the US, it's a huge difference. In the US, you can easily know who currently owns it, if it's personally owned, if it's an entity, when did they buy it? How much did they buy it for? If they're an active, if they're an absentee owner, if they're an active owner, if they're back on their taxes, if they're about to be in foreclosure. Like there's so much information in the US that you can actually get on properties that in Canada is just a no-go for, again, different privacy, right? And I'm not going to pretend to be the expert on understanding all of that. All I know is that in the US, I can look up a lot more stuff than in Canada. Um, so we'll touch on that as well, and different things on how to do so. So those are like the five biggest differences that I am seeing. Ready to go here. I want to make sure I'm letting people in. Yeah, team, make sure that you let people in as soon as they, because I might be the bottleneck as I'm talking here. I'm not seeing participants come in the waiting room. But yeah, so let's talk. And again, I do want to leave it if there are questions at some point. Here, let me open up the chat. Boom, boom. Taxes and the questions. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about what exactly the program will touch on, what the different sections are. Where are you in my notes? There you are. What the different sections are, and then we'll have Q&A, guys. And then as well, I'm going to give you a link. And team, put it on social media, or if you're watching this on social media, if you're watching this on the Zoom, if you're watching a recording, and you definitely want to talk to us again, because I know we're only live for a certain period of time, just DM us on any social media platform, the word USA, okay? And I'll send you this form, because again, I only want to work with, this is gonna, it's a beta program. I want to make sure that obviously Mel and I, we like, even the Action family that has over 2,100 members now, this is exactly how we created our 2,100 member Action family. We started it in the beginning where it was just a few members, and it was lives, that type of thing, and going through it. So this is exactly what this boot camp is going to be. People have been asking us for specifically a buying in the US boot camp for Canadians, US, people from India, doesn't matter. How can we specifically buy in the US? 10 weeks just with me. But yes, so what we're going to be touching on over the 10 weeks, one of the biggest things you guys keep asking for is business structure. So it's literally going to be going over how, as a Canadian, I'm structured buying in the US, right? We're doing Ohio, Florida, Texas. When you buy in five countries, it's like, okay, where again In Mexico, I'm in Tulum. In the US, I'm here. Anyway, so in the US, because it's US specific, Ohio, Texas, Florida. Now, that being said, if you're like Dave, I live in Tennessee. Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I've been to Nashville. Gosh, I love Nashville. I want to go back. They got a good hockey team this year, Smashville. I want to go see them at some point. Stamkos is there. Anyway, stay on track here, Dave. Not hockey time. But what I'm getting at is even if you do want to buy in other states other than where Mel and I are doing, we can still help you. The attorneys that we like, it doesn't just have to be where we're investing. Okay. Just so you guys know as well. So what was I gonna say? The business structure, that is something huge. We'll literally be getting you in contact. Like that's the whole point. We're gonna get let me backtrack. You have to be ready to take action though, because I can introduce you to I can show you how we're structured and why, right? I can show you how, in my opinion, how foreign nationals should be structured in the US. I can show you how US citizens, again, in my opinion, should be structured in the US as well. And I will introduce you to this attorneys and CPAs that will be able to help you in the US. But at the end of the day, if you join the boot camp, if after you talk to me on the phone and I think you're a good fit for it, and you think you're a good fit for it, you have to be the one still taking action, right? Like that's the huge thing. That's why it's called the action boot camp. Everything we do has the word action in it. I have it written on my, like on our, Mel and I have a gym here in our office, and that's one of the biggest thing. Action and execution is the only thing that matters. So as long as you are willing to take action in the action boot camp, right, for US, then you can have your business structure set up by the end of the 10 weeks. Okay. Meeting with attorneys. Okay, I'm going to bring in the actual attorneys that we use to chat with you as well, because it's like, hey, you know what, Dave, that sounds awesome from you, but I want someone who has the actual letters after their name and the years of education to come and chat with us. So we'll bring them in as well on one of our 10 sessions, right? So it's going to be 10 1-hour sessions on Zoom directly with me in a close group going through all of this, okay? So that business structure, that's going to be the first one. Very, very important, right? Meeting with the attorneys and as well. Okay. And these are not all the 10 sessions, but these are going to be the major sections that we're going to go over. Finding deals in the US. I'm going to show you how we find on-market deals, off-market deals, and we're also going to talk about, I might bring in someone as well to go over it. The platform that we utilize that you get a discount for. I'll show you how we use that. Remember I said in the US you can get so much more information. So we'll show you how we do that. And we'll show you how easily it is to use that information once you have it. Okay. We'll talk about that. U.S. financing. So even if you are a U.S. citizen, we'll meet with some financing people that'll come in and talk with us. If you're a foreign national, just like I am as well, we'll be doing some introductions to people that get it, that can help you as a foreign national. And we'll get them to come chat with us again as to different loan to values, different interest rates, debt servicing loans, bridge financing, hard money lending. So all of that stuff. So that way you're set up, right? By the end of the 10 weeks, again, your business structure set up. You now have the financing introduction that you need, and you're at that step where I'm like, all right, it's time to fly. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the point of the 10 weeks. Insurance. We're going to talk about insurance. So whether, it doesn't matter where you live, we'll be having an insurance chat as well. Are you investing in somewhere where Florida, there's hurricanes, right? Well, Texas, there's been some stuff going on there too. But I was going to say, if you are investing somewhere where there's floods or fires or insert here natural disasters, we're going to have the insurance person that covers all of my portfolio in all 5 countries. They're going to talk to you as well and let you make sure that you're on the right path. So different areas that you pick, you're covered for insurance. Okay. Again, I'm helping you build your power team. What else did I have here? Oh, seller financing deals. We're going to talk about as well. In the US, only some seller financing deals, specifically in Florida to start off with. So some seller financing deals. Now, what I mean by that is this is more like agreement for sale. So like wrap mortgages. So we'll be bringing in someone that will talk to you exactly how to do this and go over it so that you guys are set up on that if you decide to go through with that type of asset purchasing, which the beauty of that is you don't need to qualify. So, okay, let me backtrack here. And this is, we're going to get more in depth on this. Let's say, how do I want to do this? Let's say you are a Canadian, just like me, and you're like, I got to qualify for debt in the US, all this other stuff, XYZ, open up bank accounts. And you're even with the 10-week boot camp, you're still feeling overwhelmed of that whole process. which I understand because I've been there. Like again, Mel and I have been at the beginning of these stages. Like, yeah, we make it sound easy now. We're doing this in 5 countries, right? 3 different states in the US. But in the beginning, we still had to learn. We still had to pay coaches and mentors to help us get to the next level, which we did. Paid tons of money to do that, right? Um, what was I going to say? So that was for the sorry, that was for the seller finance. So the beauty of this is when you do these agreement for sales, or in the US, they're called wrap mortgages. Again, we'll be able to introduce you to the people that do so. Um, Mostly in Florida for now, you don't have to qualify for the debt. So think about this. Like, let this resonate with you. If you're a Canadian citizen sitting on or whatever, watching me on your phone or whatever it is right now, there's a way that you can buy assets without even qualifying for the debt in a whole other country, without having to transfer title and all that, and transfer the deed and transfer the debt into your name, with very low down payments. Okay, and I'll get into that, but there's going to be that as well. So seller finance or agreement for sale, wrap mortgage deals. Okay. We're going to talk about turnkey assets because a lot of people, and I love this, a lot of people in the boot camp might come to us and say, I have money. I have more money than I have time because I'll get those calls as well. I get those. I shouldn't say calls. I get Mel and I have over 780,000 followers on all our social media platforms. So I think we've got like 280 something on Instagram. We've got over 200 on TikTok. We've got I think a 180 on Facebook, like all over the place. Investor Mel and Dave, go look us up. But anyway, we have over 780,000 followers on social media. We get so many DMs. Okay. We get DMs all the time. And a lot of people will be like, I wish you could just set me up and then show me where I can buy a building where I can set and forget. And that's kind of what this is, literally. So this is going to be the boot camp to set you up, right? Hey, here's your box that you need to become an investor in the US, whether you live there or not. Mel and I don't live there. We're in Canada, North Bay, Ontario, Canada. And then from there, once you are actually set up, if you do just want to just buy something that's set and forget easy, we're also going to talk about that. The turnkey properties that literally they find them for you. They buy them for you in the beginning. They renovate them. They put a tenant in. They manage it. And you're like, hey, got my LLC set up, got my business structure set up. Now I got my asset. Boom. I can go back to doing, I don't know, if you enjoy, if you love your job, then you don't have to be a full-time investor. This can just be a side gig, right? So we'll talk about that as well. There's my list. We're going to talk about our property identifier matrix, PIM. You're also going to get that as well. How to analyze a deal. So property identifier matrix, how to analyze a deal to make sure that it does make sense. Okay. And we'll go through that and you'll actually get it. You'll get our PIM. Real estate agent intros. We had discussed that too. I might bring a few in from different markets, depending as to where people like. So I might bring people in from where I'm investing, and that way you get access to them. And again, there's some low hanging fruit. So we'll have some introductions to the real estate agents. We might get them to come on to talk about their markets as well. But that'll be a section as well. Mindset. Like I mentioned earlier, no one ever wants to talk about mindset. So there's going to be a whole session on mindset. Like, think about this. And I want to say this without boasting or sounding like, anyway, people will message us and say, how do you guys do this all the time? So Mel and I'm still in my 30s, right? Mel and I both quit our jobs in our 30s. We have tens of millions of dollars of real estate. We're doing this in 5 different countries. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was a firefighter. I'm not a rocket scientist. Like, that's the beauty of this. I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't go to Yale or I don't know where are the places in Canada, McMaster's, like all these high fancy. That's just not me. I'm not that guy. Like, it is what it is. So I tell you this because you don't need to be that person. You don't need to be this. And if you are, amazing. Perfect. Like that's awesome. But what I'm saying is you don't need to be that. You just need to have the correct knowledge and have the right mindset. So this is why in the boot camp there will be a section on mindset, okay? Because it is so, so important. Right? Mel and I this morning we were running behind and we were like, do we have time to write our journal? It's a non-negotiable, right? Writing in our journal every single day is a non-negotiable. You're 42% more likely to achieve something when you write it down. We'll talk about vision boards. We'll just talk about mindset overall. Anything that we do, there has to be a section on mindset because it's been some of the secret sauce. Coaching and mentoring for ourselves, like our own, we still have 4 coaches, and mindset has been some real secret sauce for Mel and I in our growth. Okay. So there's definitely going to be a section that we'll be talking about as to what we do and helping you guys out on that. And then how to pick your market. We're also going to discuss how to pick your market as well. Because you might be thinking, like, Dave, the US has what, like 330 million? I'm probably off on this number. I've been saying that number for years, and I know obviously numbers change, but like it's huge. It's a very, very big country with very, very different markets. There's like it's every and they say it too, like almost every state is a different country, right? In regards to differences. So we'll show you how to pick the states, the areas that you want to invest in, how to find your markets, and again, from there, how to find the real estate agents and the teams that you're going to need in there. So, team, if you are interested, team, please put the link. Um, please put the link in the chat, okay? Because now that I've kind of explained the boot camp a little bit more, please put the link in the chat. Fill out the form. If you're on social media, I'm live here. There you go. Thanks, team. I'm on social media right now. DM us the word USA if you're interested, or if you're watching me live anywhere, somewhere else after this and you're interested, put in the comments, DM us the word USA, and we will send you the form to fill out. Now, again, guys, it's not, I'm very, very picky as who's coming in. It's not a, hey, whoever's willing to sign up is in. No, no, Gary, I love it. Gary, I love that you put in the chat. Fill out the, click the form, Gary, and they'll send it to you. Okay, Gary, click on the form and fill it out. And honestly, I'm gonna be working. Got you. Yeah, awesome, Gary. But yeah, fill it out. I will be calling you because I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Put as accurate of information as possible. Okay, put as accurate as information as possible so that way when I call you, I've got the information. Okay. Um. Oh yes, Emily. When would the weekly course begin? Yes. So, where's my calendar? I thought it's like July 17th or 18th. It is going to begin 17th. Wednesday, July 17th is when it will begin. Now, as soon as we decide who we're going to be picking to join this with us, you will have, I'm going to give you the property identifier matrix, the PIM, because I want you to understand that. Okay. So you'll get the access to that right away. You'll download that. There'll be some videos as to how to understand it because I need you to understand how to look at deals. And then the actual weekly lives, the actual weekly training will begin Wednesday, July 17th, because I'm gone to Edmonton and Calgary for the next, I leave tomorrow and I'm back the next Tuesday. I feel like it's longer than that. Yeah, I'm gone for the week. So yeah, fill out that form, guys. And if you have more questions, and that's the thing, Mel and I have different programs. Because some of you might say, Dave, I love what you're saying right now, but I also want to invest in Canada. I also want to invest different places. We'll have the conversation on the phone, okay? Because that's our Action Family Mentoring program. This is specifically 10 weeks US boot camp. This is getting you started off, building, giving you the wings so that you can then do your own thing and start, buying real estate. And this all resonates from years and years and years of people messaging us and saying, Dave, I know you guys do creative financing. I don't need that. Dave, I say Dave, Mel and Dave, I know how to look at deals, but like I don't need that. And I'm like, okay, well, they're like, I just need to get out of my own head, out of my own way, and just help me with the actual nuts and bolts of I'm in another country. I want to invest in the US. How do I do that? So that's literally what this boot camp is. 10 weeks. It's long enough, but it's still nice and short. Boom, get you set up, get your LLC set up, get your contacts set up, and then you're off to the races. Okay. So that's literally why we decided to do so. So team, let me move that. So let me go to some questions. Fill out the form. Lots of questions. Good. I love it. Okay, that was what people were worried about. Double taxes. Yes, that's why you need to be set up properly. Emily, I am military and worry about not being able to manage my portfolio like a business. When I am deployed, specifically, hard to find managers I can trust. Ooh, very true. So Emily, and that's like through the real estate agents they'll introduce you to, they'll be able to introduce you to managers. But at the end of the day, like think about this. And I know we're talking US only, but Mel and I have properties in 5 countries. Like, there's no way we could manage that, right? We now have a full-time in-house asset manager. All she does is manage the managers, right? So even in my city, we have property managers in place and she manages the managers, right? So, Emily, it's definitely doable. Okay. But I can see your concern. Like, if you have access to emails while you're deployed, then you're more than able to do this. Is buying in the US the same as in Canada? There are some differences. There's definitely some differences, and that's what we're going to be chatting about in the boot camp. Good question, though, Carrie. Fill out the form if you're interested, and I'll give you a call. Tracy, I'm from Nashville. Awesome, Tracy. I love Nashville. I love Nashville. What a good time. It's fun. Super cool, too. I went to see a Luke Combs concert when I was there. Love Luke Combs too. Sean, you can accomplish a lot with creative finance in the US. I agree. Now, just so you guys know, this is not going to be a creative financing course or coaching, okay? This is strictly how to get set up. And this is why I want to call people because I just want to make sure expectations are all on the same page. If you're looking for creative financing, 100%, that is my absolute favorite thing in the world, besides Mel and the kids and my family. But creative financing is one of my favorite tactics. That is something completely different, okay? This is strictly getting set up to buy in the US boot camp. Fill out this form. Thank you, team. Patrick, no, this is completely different. This is something completely different, a new initiative that Mel and I are doing. But you have access to most of this in the action family anyway, Patrick. So just to be honest with you. Emily, when will the weekly courses begin? Yes, I said, yeah, thank you for asking that, Emily, because I completely forgot about that. July 17th is when we'll start. The other thing too is it's gonna be at noon. Yes, it's gonna be at noon on the Wednesdays. Now the beauty is again, if you're not there, you will get the recording. Okay? So don't stress about it. This is meant to be flexible. I'm looking to fund people who are investing in the US. My question is about corp structure. Let me backtrack here. I'm looking to fund people who are investing in the US. So you want to fund, okay. My question is about corp structure. If someone owned a US property, would they receive cash flow into a buy co, which moves the money to a managed co, which honestly, that I will introduce you to the specialist, Sean, the investor focused, all that stuff, the pros. Because there's a lot of questions here. And we have all of these asset corps and hold cos and all that. But that's definitely something I would introduce you to the pros the cross-border people who can definitely help you with that. Joselito didn't get that form. Team, please put the team again. Please put the form again. And again, guys, you'll be getting the replay if you sign up to the Zoom and you couldn't make it. Like if you're watching me after the fact here, I'm still live, but if you're watching me after the fact, just email us or DM us, right? Fill out the form. Hey Dave, I need help setting up my business. I just really need to understand how to start buying in the US. Carrie, fill out the form. Like that is exactly like I can't stress that enough, Carrie and everyone else. That's literally the boot camp. It was just like it's I can't stress this enough because we get so many DMs. Again, think about having 780,000 followers, which is amazing. I love it. I want to hit a mill. If you're not following me on social media, please do. We do different content everywhere. Okay. Um, but there's a lot of DMs and there's a lot of reoccurring themes, right? Like, hey, Mel and Dave, I want to get started in creative financing. And that's a whole other ball of wax. That's a whole other conversation. If anyone wants to have it, I will gladly talk to you about our different programs and that for that. But a lot of people are just for whatever reason, I don't want to buy in Canada anymore. I'm finding it more difficult. The roadblocks, the tenant relations, like there's a lot of different reasons why people are no longer wanting to buy in Canada. I'm still buying in Canada. I understand why people feel that way. I'm still buying in Canada, just to be honest. We closed just July 1st, a place in Edmonton. I might buy another one. Anyway, so we're always buying other places, right? We just closed a deal in Florida today, another just outside of Cape Coral. Our Cape Coral flip is on the market for sale right now. Oh, what's the word? It's just outside of Cape Coral. I can't think of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, but that's literally what the boot camp is. It's people that are stuck, scared, worried, and it doesn't mean that you don't like. That's the thing. Mel and I always say this. Just because you don't know what you don't know doesn't mean you're not intelligent. Like, again, we talk to so many intelligent people. It's just like, okay, think about this. This might be a trick question. I was gonna say, do you think I'm intelligent? No one answer. But I don't know how to fix a car. I That's just not in my wheelhouse. I know how to buy real estate. I could do it in my sleep, but fixing a car, I'm driving it to the mechanic, right? It's just not in my wheelhouse. My mechanic is brilliant in what he does, right? And I love doing what I do in real estate. So it's not that, like, if you're thinking, I want to do this, and I care, I'm not saying that you said that, but like, this is a huge thing, is it does not mean that you're not brilliant in another section. It just means you have not been exposed to this and it's still new to you. And that's literally where, like, that's where Mel and I help. Like, for example, if I wanted to become a yoga instructor coach tomorrow, I would be going to get coached and mentored. Okay. I wouldn't just be decide to do it. So that's kind of like this. If you want to go buy in the States, that's why Mel and I are doing real estate coaching and mentoring on it. And again, the other thing too is I learned by mistakes buying in Canada. When I started buying in the US, Mel and I got a lot of coaching and mentoring on all that. We still have 4 coaches. Okay. So yeah, fill out the form, guys. Emily, you're welcome. Tracy, managing managers is a lot too. Open to perfecting this too. Yeah, I agree. But it shouldn't be a lot. Managing the managers shouldn't be too much. But I agree sometimes. Boot camp starts, Jennifer, July 18th. Wednesday, July 18th. There you go. Prana, could you please give us an approximate cost associated for structuring the limited partnership under corp? It's going to depend. Like, Prana, I know you're already part of the Action family. If you need introductions, send us an email. Here's the form. Thank you, team. Gary, look forward to chatting. Got to get back to work. Hopefully, one day I won't have to go back to work. LOL. That's the goal, right? Thanks, I got it done. Okay, Joselito, perfect. Would this be directly with you or one of your team members? Ooh, Carrie, good question. And that this is with me. You will not be paired off. So don't think that I am the face and that what was I going to say? Do not think that I am just the face here and that when you book a call that the boot camp is going to be with someone. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. This is going to be specifically the boot camp will be with me. So you will be with me for 10 weeks. The lives will be directly with me. It'll be on Zoom just like this, right? I'm the only one that's going to have my camera on. That way we get through every question. We get through all the training and coaching and mentoring, right? Because we've done camps before. When Mel and I first created the Action Family, we've all been there where there's a Zoom and let's say there's 10 of you or 20 of you in the room and there's one person that just asks a question and it takes 30 minutes and the other 10 or 15 of you are like, oh, am I gonna have? So we do this by experience. Mel and I are the only ones with our camera. Sorry, on this one it's me only. I'm the only one with my camera on. I'm the only one with my mic on, and we go through the Q&A just like this. Okay, and after the teaching of that, there's gonna be some Q&A. That is done for a reason, from trial and error. But yes, it's gonna be directly with me. Okay, in the small group setting. Any other questions before I let you guys go? So again, just a reminder, this is a 10. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks. Looking forward to it. What was I going to say? So the reminder, this is a 10-week boot camp. This is showing you how to get set up to start purchasing in the US, getting your business structure set up, introducing you to the mortgage brokers, the insurance people, the attorneys, I feel like the real estate agents, so that you are all set up to go to the next step, right? And after the 10 weeks, as long as you follow through with what you need to do, then you're able to start purchasing in the US. You'll get our property identifier matrix that'll help you stay hydrated. There's a heat warning in Stampede. Oh gosh, I'm gonna put a hat on, my cowboy hat. My bald head is gonna get burnt, Sean. But yeah, definitely if you are interested, fill out the form. I will be contacting people to see if they are a good fit. Because again, you're going to be working with me directly for 10 weeks. Okay. So if we're not a good fit, life is too short, right? I only want to work with people that I want to work with. And hopefully you understand. I'm sure you're thinking the exact same thing too. Jose, when will you contact us to let us know if we can be part of the 10-week program? Fill out the form, guys. And like I said, I'm literally leaving for Edmonton tomorrow. So I'll be making some calls and all that, texting. So if you do see a call or a text from a 705 area code, that is the North Bay, Ontario area code. That's where I live in Canada. That is me. Okay, so don't think it's spam. Well, there might be spam coming from 705 numbers, but like I said, I do want to talk to people who are filling out this form. I want to get this boot camp up and running. It's been long enough. I've got enough questions on DMs and social media that's why I wanted to create this. Okay, so fill out the form. We'll have a conversation. This is awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on the live. Go crush it. Oh my gosh, that was an hour. Oh my gosh, that went by so quick. So again, appreciate everyone that came on the live. You'll be getting the replay. If you have any questions, fill out the form. Even if it's not about boot camp, even if it's about something else, you're like, hey, Mel and Dave, I thought you guys did creative financing in 5 countries. That's why I want you to fill out the form so I can have a conversation with you. What you're looking for, what's best for you, obviously, what the investment is to join, right? There's going to be an investment, obviously. And then, yeah, we'll figure out what's best for you. Okay. All right. Bye for now.